We're starting. Good morning to everybody. We are in our famous parsha, Parashat Korach. Korach, what is Korach about? You all know what's Korach about? What's the main issue in Parashat Korach? Machloket. We have a machloket, arguments. And Korach is standing in front of Moshe Rabbeinu and Aaron and blaming them about everybody is holy. Kol ha'eda kulam kedoshim, madua titnasu al am Hashem. Why do you put yourself on top of others? The whole congregation, they're all holy. They all got the Torah from Sinai. They all saw God. They all had got to the highest level they could get. So why do you put yourself on top of the people? That's the argument. And the point is very interesting. If we think about Korach, what does Korach want? Korach really wants equality for everybody? That's what he wants? What do you think? That's what he wants? By the way, if anybody wants to talk, he can talk, but then mute mic in order for others not to be disturbed. So Korach is standing there and he tells everybody, everybody is holy, everybody is equal. We don't need any rabbi. We don't need anybody in charge. Is this the right way of dealing with society? We all know it's wrong. And we see it, the communist system, the same idea. All friends, all equal, but we all know, no, nobody was equal there. There were equal less and equal more, and all the other were living like in poverty, and those who were in charge were living like billionaires in dachot, in big villas and palaces. In other words, a normal society has levels, but we have to understand, what is the Torah really acting and teaching us that the society has people that are better than others, people that are on top of others? What's the idea? The idea is very simple. Each one of us has got a special talent. Each one. In other words, the freedom or the being in a system that is equal is that it means everybody's got the chance. Everybody's got the chance to. 1 minute. I want to put my picture bigger, so.
Yes, thank you. Thanks, Doc.
This way. Okay. So when we talk about being equal, we talk about everybody has got the opportunity to use his own talent to get to the highest level he can on his level. In other words, the society is built from a lot of different people and a lot of different talents. And by the way, that's the only way that the society can exist. If everybody was the same, for example, you cannot have an army that has got only an air force. The same way you cannot have an army that's got only tanks, because you need the combination. In other words, everybody has to contribute his own talent, his own ability to the whole. That's the idea of Kol ha'eda kulam kedoshim. Yes, Am Yisrael are whole, holy. When are they holy? When each one of them is doing his own job and not looking at the other's job. And this is exactly the point that we have to understand with Korach. Now, where does this come from? Because we on the Gemara ask, Korach shepikeach haya, ma ra'a leshtut zot? How is it possible that Korach, that was such an unbelievable guy, how is it possible that he, sorry, 1 minute. How is it possible that Korach, with all his knowledge and his wisdom, and by the way, Korach had the Ruach HaKodesh, he had the Holy Spirit, and Korach, one of those who was carrying the ark. So a guy at that level comes and confront himself with Moshe Rabbeinu, the messenger of God, the guy that God himself is telling us, pe el pe adaber bo, mouth to mouth, I'm talking through him. You are talking against him, and nevertheless you are telling him that he is proud man, that he puts himself on top of people. The Torah is telling us, look, Kam B'Yisrael K'Moshe Od. From one side, there is nobody like Moses, and from the other side, Anav Yoter Mikol Adam Asher Al Pen Hadar, humbleness. The Moshe Rabbeinu is the symbol of humbleness. What's happening here? And here is a very important point. And we have to add, before we talk about this important point, in order to understand a little more, who is going with Korach? Korach convinces 250 people, and those 250 people, if we want to look who they are, one minute. ויקומו לפני משה ואנשים מבני ישראל 50 ו200 נשיאי עדה קריאי מועד אנשי שם. The top people, the best people of the nation, the tzaddikim, the heads of the tribes, the head of the Sanhedrin. Those are standing there. And this is bringing us to another question. How is it that those 250 people standing with the Ktoret, that we all know what happened to the sons of Aaron? They sacrificed Ktoret, brought Ktoret not at the right time, and what happened to them? They were killed. A fire came from heaven and burned them. And now those 250 people standing there, what do they think? Moshe Rabbeinu is telling them, you know, there is only one that can be Kohen Gadol. You cannot all of you be Kohen Gadolim. Only one of you can. So, in other words, they all know that what's going to happen. Are they all going to survive this test? Or dealing with Ktoret means that only one. In other words, all the others are dying. And they're still standing there. How can it be? It's like, you know, those shaheeds, those terrorists, standing like 250 terrorists, standing with a, how do you call this, a bomb belt, and they're waiting to take it out and bomb themselves and blow themselves up. Is this what's happening here? Because they all know, but they're still there. And they're not simple people, they are the best. And Korach, on top of this, what did he think? So the Torah tells us, the Gemara tells us that he had the Holy Spirit. So he saw in prophecy, he had the power of prophecy. He saw in prophecy that from his children is going to come out Shmuel HaNavi. And it's written, Moshe ve'Aaron bekohanav u'Shmuel bekorei shmo. In other words, when we're talking about Shmuel that comes from Korach, he is at the same level as Moshe and Aaron. So in other words, Korach thinks to himself, I must survive this because I've got descendants and holy descendants. He doesn't realize that he doesn't have to come if he is alive. He can also die, and his son, which happening later on, his sons do tshuva at the last minute and they survive. All this parsha is very strange. We see all the people are also standing and being a part of this riot, standing there and watching to the point that they blame Moshe Rabbeinu. They blame Moshe Rabbeinu. Atem hamitem et kal Hashem. You killed them. And if we think of it from their point of view, think what's happening here. Think to yourself that you have 250 people and Korach on top of them, which is one of the people that's got the Holy Spirit, he's got the power of prophecy. He is a tzaddik. And with him are standing 250 tzaddikim against one guy, two guys. So what do they think to themselves? Who is right and who is wrong? They must think that those 250 people are right. And you know what? Even if they're wrong, why did you test them, Moshe? Moshe, why did you test them with the Ktoret? You know the Ktoret kills. You could have done another test and they could all survive the next morning. So you are the one to blame. You killed the people of God. Am Hashem, you killed them. Unbelievable. What's going on? And then it goes on and on. They don't believe. There is a plague. And what's happening? Aaron, Moshe is telling Aaron, go with the Torah in between the people and stop the plague. And the plague stops. And look at Aaron, how courageous he is. Because he knows his son died from using the Torah in the wrong place, in the wrong time. And he's doing the same. His brother is telling him, take the Torah and run there. In other words, he's doing the same thing. He is risking his life, but he doesn't care. If this is going to save the people, if there is a chance to save the people, he runs and he saves the people. Because God wants to show all the people that the Torah doesn't kill. What kills is the sin. And this is something that we have to put deeply in our mind. A lot of times, things look like holy, but inside they're rotten. And this is exactly the episode we've got here. Because we have to understand, what is the argument here about? Is that about Korach and all those 250 people want to go on the beach, to have a holiday, to eat meat? This was, till now, Am Yisrael, their complaint was on eating, on meat, on water, and other complaints. But here, what do they want? They want to be holy. They want to be near God. And it gets to the point that the people ask, I'm tamnu likvoa? What's going on here? Anybody that wants to go close to God, what happens to him? Dies. So what's going on? Moshe Rabbeinu is telling them, Ameat mikem is telling Shevet Levi, what, haven't you got enough that you want another job? And what's in those words? What does it mean? And he's telling them, in the morning we will solve the problem. Why in the morning? Why not now? Boker ve'oda. Because he wants them to think and understand that they are on the wrong side. They're doing wrong. So maybe now things are not so clear. You know, like in the dark, like this guy who comes to this shopkeeper who sells stuff he's got stocks, and he's selling the stocks on like clothes, whatever it is. He buys the stocks and then he weighs them, and you pay as for the weight. So this guy comes to him and he's telling him, here, you can choose whatever you want, it's no problem. He says, no, I don't need. I just take whatever, but I want a good price because I take whatever it is. He says, okay, no problem. I'm giving you a big discount. And then he turns off the lights. He says, hey, why didn't you turn off the lights? He says, you don't care what you're taking. So, here, bakasha. He says, no, what, no? You want to choose. That's a different story. So this is exactly what Moshe Rabbeinu is telling them. Boker said, maybe now you don't see clearly. Everything looks the same to you in the dark. But in the morning, sleep on it. And maybe in the morning when you wake up, you will understand how stupid you are. Because only one can be Kohen Gadol. And maybe you regret about what you're doing and you won't stand there. Unfortunately, it's not happening. There's the Mishnah in Pirkei Avot, הגאווה, התאווה והכבוד מוציאים את האדם מן העולם. The pride, the lust, and honor take the man out of this world. And everybody is asking, what do you mean takes him out of this world? I see a lot of people walking around, they are pride, they have jealousy in them, they have lust, they seeking for honor, for kavod, and they still here, walking around enjoying life. But that's exactly the point. Are they really here? Or we just see their bodies, no spirit? Those who have the jealousy in them, it's eating them out. And what stays afterwards, it's like somebody who is angry, very angry, and he breaks things. And then after he comes down, he says, why? What did I do? Because when he was angry, the only thing in his mind is anger. He couldn't control anything that he was doing. Says the Rav Drukman Zatzal. Those 250 people standing there, that's exactly the point. They were not really there. They mind let's say the common sense that the neshama was not there. Only the jealousy. They didn't see anything. They wanted the job. It's like, in the second temple, they had 350 Kohanim Gdolim, high priest. And when we do the calculation, it looks that most of them didn't finish the year. In other words, when Yom Kippur came and the Kohen Gadol went into Kodesh HaKodashim, what happened to him? He died. Why did he die? Because he was not chosen to be Kohen Gadol. He bought it with money. That's what they used to do. They wanted this honor to be Kohen Gadol, and they bought it with money. So we can understand the first one. You know what? We can also understand the 10. Or you have 20, because it says, hey, it's an accident, they were not right, but I'm okay. But the Kohen 300 or 320, what does he think to himself? You know the 320 Kohanim before you died because they bought the Kehuna Gdola. They were not deserving it. So what do you think is going to happen to you? But he's still doing it. You know why? הגאווה, התאווה והכבוד מוציאים את האדם מן העולם. Didn't you have this feeling sometimes that when you're jealous with somebody and it's eating you out, so you don't think, you do things that you regret them later on, that they were a big mistake? So Moshe Rabbeinu is giving him the chance. He's telling you, you know what? Think about it. Sleep on it. And he explains to them. And he tells them another interesting thing. He says, imagine to yourself a factory that they do special tests for people to know who is suitable for all the jobs, and they have different jobs, and everybody's got different talents. So they test and they choose the right job for each one of them. The interesting thing in this planet is, this factory, that they give the same salary to everybody. As long as you do your job, 8 hours job, for example, as long as you do the job, doesn't matter if you're in a position of a manager, if you're in a position of a hard worker, if you are somebody who cleans the floor, whatever it is, you get the same salary. Now imagine to yourself, one of those people comes to the boss and tells him, it's not enough for me, I want another job. What do you think? Is this logical? What do you think? Is this logical? No. You know why? Because if you get the same salary and you are doing your job in the right way, you would not ask for another job unless you're not doing your job right, or you don't want your job because the other job is more honor in it. In other words, you want another job, and means that you don't do your own job. Because if you do your own job, you wouldn't ask for a different job, because it's not that you're going to get a raise in the salary. The same way, God gave each one of us a job. And if you come and ask for another job, it means that you're not satisfied with what God gave you, and you're not doing your job, because God knows exactly what you're suitable for and what you're capable for. And if it's not good for you, it means something is wrong with you. I always remember years ago, we used to sell shelves for warehouses. We still now sell them sometimes, but then you use also to put them to assemble them in their places. And one day I was there with my father, Alav Shalom, and in one of the factories of the Istadrut, I think, yes. And they had, the warehouse was like for electronic parts. And they had, I think, around 10 people working in this warehouse. And we were doing the shelves, and it took us the whole day. And during this day, we saw that they're not working very hard, let's put it this way. No, somebody comes with a certificate to take a few parts, and one of the guys goes into the shelves and picks the part that he needs and gives it. And most of the day, the majority of them did really nothing. Okay, what can we do? It happens. Before the day ends, comes the boss of one of the guys in charge on the warehouse, which, by the way, the whole day I didn't see him. And he comes and says, you know, we have a lot of work today. We need more hours. So we have sha'ot nosafot. We had to have more hours. And I'm thinking, why the whole day they did nothing. Now they're going to do nothing for more hours and get more, you know, for sha'ot nosafot, for spare hours, you get even more. And that's exactly the point. And Moshe Rabbeinu is telling them, if you're asking for a different job that God gave you, it means that you're not doing your job. Haven't you got enough? God gave you the right job and a good job, and you want another job, a different job. But it all comes from jealousy. Jealousy, unfortunately, can kill us. And when we talk about what's happening in our Parsha, we're learning a big lesson from a very simple point of view. Even, and maybe especially in holy thing, we have to be very careful. You know, you can look like a great rabbi with a big beard, a big hat, and talk like a big rabbi, but inside, what is motivating you is your ego. You're doing everything for honor and for your lust and for your own sake. You don't care about others. That's no good. Especially if it's Yanei Kedusha, especially if it's holy things, especially when you are on the spiritual side, because people expect from you to be better. And this is the big mistake of Korach. The jealousy took him in a way that he didn't care about nobody. He knew that those 250 people are going to die because he saw with his spiritual mind, with a prophecy, with the Spirit of God, he saw that that's what he thought, he's going to survive. So if he is going to survive, and there is only one, what does it mean? That all of the others are dying. And he's still convincing them to stand there. This is the real Russia. This is a guy that jealousy took him out of this world. He didn't care about anything. You know, sometimes we want something, we don't see we don't care about obstacle, don't care about nobody. We just work on them. Just like last week, I talked about a story, interesting story. There were a group of people, managers, that came to Israel. And before this, interesting story, you know, in America, they wanted to check a few of the billionaires. How did they get to the position? What is the way to become very, very rich? So they chose, I think, around 25 rich people, and they sent from the university people to investigate and stay with them for a month and see what they're doing. What is the secret? And they did it, and after, when they came back, they told that everybody had maybe a different system, but there was one thing that all of them did the same: fighting with the competition. That was something that everybody, but there was one guy who didn't fight, didn't care about the competition. They didn't understand how could it be. So they sent a special group to interview him to see what is making this guy so successful and he doesn't care about his competition. So they went to him and they asked him, and you know what he answered them? He says, I have to tell you, in the beginning, I was the same as all the others. My father told me, if you want to be successful in business, you have to step on people. You have to kill your competition. And that's the way I was working till one day. We used to do once a year a trip around the world in places to see where we can open another business. So there was a group of those high people, top people, going around. So one of the places they went is to Israel. And at the end day, at the last day, when they have to go back to the state, the guy took them in Jerusalem to a place. I'm going to show you now something that you never ever saw in your life. So they were all thinking about, what is he going to show us? This archaeological thing, you know, Eretz Israel, Jerusalem, the holy city, with all the things from thousands of years ago. Who knows what's going to show them? They stopped near a house, and before they get down of the bus, they see a lot of children, young men going out and in, like. And he's asking them, how many meters do you think you need for an institute that's got 6,000 students? So we're doing calculations. It says 150 square meters. It says, okay, I'm going to show you a place, 3,000 square meter with 6,000 students. Unbelievable. No, it cannot be. They go down off the bus and they go into this building. And this building was Yeshivat Mir in Jerusalem. And this is real story. That's what's happening there. It's unbelievable. They were walking around. They see in every corner, they saw Talmidim, they saw pupils learning Torah. And they didn't even raise their hand to see the visitors. You know, normally in a place when you come, visitor come, everybody looks, oh, who are you, where you come from, didn't care. Then while they're doing this tour is asking them, how many secretaries do you think is in this institute? How many managers? How many officers? And everybody throws figures. It says, okay, I'm going to show you, this is one-man show. I'm going to show you the guy that is in charge of everything. And even Scott, he's even the one who is in charge on the learning plan. And he does everything in this place. And when you go in, you will see an old guy and he's quite ill. He's got a lot of illnesses. But don't worry, he will talk with you and talk fluent English. This was the Rav Finkel Zatzal. They go to this room, they see this old guy learning, and when he saw them coming in, he closed the Gemara, and he talked to them in English, hi, smiling. And this guy is asking him, I want to ask you, Rabbi, a question. I cannot understand. How is it? We manage big businesses. We cannot understand how can you do this by yourself in this small place with all those pupils, with all those students. He's telling them, you know, there is a difference between an animal and a human being, between a beast and a human being and a man. You know what the difference is? If a cow wants something, if an animal wants something, it won't stop. It will stand on everything to get what it wants. But a human being, he's got seichel, he's got a mind. He can give out. He can give others. And here in our yeshiva, we are not beasts, we are not animals, we are not cows, we are human beings that give to each other. Those things went into his heart like a sword. And he told those people that come to interview him, from this moment on, I decided I am not going to be an animal anymore. I am not going to be a behemoth. I am going to be a human being. And I stopped all the competition with my competitor. You know who this guy is? This is, by the way, he's Jewish. And he is the guy that established Starbucks. What's his name? Howard something, I think. I don't remember his name right now. But you can check it in Google. This is the guy who is the owner that established Starbucks, which we all know in every corner except in Israel. Don't know why. But in China, when I go to China, in every corner you have a Starbucks. You go in New York, in every corner you have a Starbucks. All over the world. With no competition. No jealousy. This is the real power. The real power is to understand that each one of us has got his own job. Each one of us has got his own place. And if each one of us will do his own job, Kol ha'eda kulam kedoshim. Then all of us holy. And this is what Moshe Rabbeinu is explaining to the people, because the people look and they see all those holy people, what's happening to them. And he explains, you have to understand it doesn't matter who you are. You can be the top guy and you can be the cleaner. If you do your own job, nothing harm is going to happen to you. But if you are jealous and you want the job of your friend, then look at Korach V'Adato. And it doesn't matter what it's all about. On the contrary, the most terrible thing is to take holiness like a cover for your jealousy and for your lust and for you seeking for honor. And that's the terrible thing that Korach did. Because he is a sample. When people look at a guy like this, imagine to yourself that we're talking about, you choose all the rabbis you want and now that we know, the greater of all, because this was the level of those people. And by the way, a much higher level. Because it was a generation that had the prophecy power, that saw God. But Hakin'ah התאווה והכבוד מוצאים את האדם מן העולם. This is something that we have to take and understand that, you know, when you go in the way of God, when you do the right thing, and everybody does his own job and and is doing for the benefit of others, you can get to the highest level there is. And I want to finish this with a beautiful story. I think I told it to you once. A few years ago, I've been in China, and we went to Hong Kong. And the last day that we had to go back, we decided we're going to have a small tour in Hong Kong. So we went to the shiur of Mishpachat Sasson. This is the oldest shiur in China, in all the Asian places, whatever. Very nice, very interesting. We had the whole, let's say, inquiry before we went in, but eventually we went in and we had something to eat also there in the Jewish community in Hong Kong. Very nice, very beautiful. And then we decided to go. There they have the moving steps, the longest moving steps in the world. It goes up to the mountain. We went there and we got to the top. We saw that it's quite time, we have to go back. So we're asking people, and most of them are Chinese, don't understand what we want to know where to go to the train station in order to get to the airport. We have to go back. And suddenly we see this lady, not Chinese, and then we realized that she is, I think it was from Australia or something, living there. I don't know, it doesn't matter. Speaking, of course, fluent English. So we asked her, how do we get to the train station? She explained, you have to go down. And said, you know what? I'm going to walk with you. It's in my way. So we're going right and wrong and small and left. Well, we couldn't find it by ourselves. And on the way, we realized, I don't know, is she really going to the train station? So we asked her, you know, are you going to the train station? No, it's a, so we felt bad. No, okay, it's okay, we'll find it. Said, no, I want to help you. Said, why? I've got the time, and if I can help somebody, why not? Unbelievable. She takes us to the train station, and then says, okay, now I'm going. And this Chinese is, and said, you have to find this line, whatever. You have to understand the train station there, it's not like here. It's millions of people, you know, you don't know where to go. And this Chinese guy, who understands English, he listens to her and he understands, she's explaining to us how to get to the station that takes us to the airport, the train to the airport. He says, okay, I'm going to show you the place. So this Chinese guy is taking us to the train station. There is this, we have to buy a ticket. And then another problem. We have only Chinese money left. And in Hong Kong, especially in those official places, they take only Hong Kong dollars. No credit cards, nothing. We don't know what to do. We ask this guy that says, only option, explains to us in sign language, you have to go out again and go to the other side of the road and then back, and we are going to miss the train. So we decide to ask people to change the Chinese money to Hong Kong dollars. And suddenly we see this guy with short trousers, looks like a tourist. And we ask him, can you change the dollars? So he's changing us and then find out that we, like a few dollars be missing, Hong Kong dollars. So he gives it us, it's okay, take it. No, we don't feel so good. Then he's escorting us, this guy says, I'm going also, you're going to the airport, I'm also going to the airport. I'm going to ask you to the train. So he goes with us to the train, and while the way we are talking, and while we're talking, we understand his father is Jewish, he's from Jamaica, and he is a pilot that lives near the airport because his job is the airport, and he's got to have this big building near the airport where all the staff and the people, and he's got a flat there, and he's working, by the way, for the Hong Kong airport, for the Hong Kong, I don't know, for a Chinese firm, whatever, and he's a pilot. This guy looks like a tourist, and he's telling us about the community, in the Jewish community in Jamaica, and it was very interesting. I'm thinking, who could believe this? Angels, if you go in the right way, if you understand that you are a part of others and everybody's got his own job, you see, God is sending you. The lady that helped us to get to this train station. Then God didn't leave us. He sent the Chinese guy that shows us the station itself. And then still God is with us all the time, send us this tourist, this pilot, to take us almost to the plane. Unbelievable. The big lesson here is, jealousy takes you nowhere, takes you to the worst places. God, he hates this thing, and we see what happened to Korach, what happened to the Tan Aviram. And we see that it can be in the holiest places. This is why you have to be more careful, because you don't cover your jealousy with holiness. You can go to shul and daven the whole day, but if whatever you do is only for yourself, you do nothing. And then, if you do your own job, and you're not jealous about the others, you will find out that each one of these words got a job. And sometimes the job, and that's the main job, to help others. As we learn from those goyim that helped us. So if we, the goyim, are showing us the way, so what should we do? We should be more helpful. Love each other, not jealous. Loving the us, then we can say, Kol Aeda Kulam Kedoshim. Good morning, everybody.
Thank you. Toda. Toda. Thank you.
Hope you enjoyed.
Thank you. That was very good.